Welcome to Pera's Playbook. This is your host, Alex Pera. Let's open up our playbook and see who our guest is. Please enjoy. Welcome to episode 205 of Pera's Playbook. Today we're joined by Darryl Vidal. He's a lifelong martial artist, actor, author. We're going to talk about his whole journey in life, his relationship with the Karate Kid movie and Cobra Kai and all kinds of stuff, teaching karate. We're going to dive into all of it, but we're very happy to
Wow.
have Darryl here. How's
Hey,
it going?
happy to be here. I didn't realize we are going to touch everything in my life.
Well, maybe not everything, but we'll get as much as we can in the time we have.
All right.
I think
Well,
you're the
thanks for
10th.
having me.
Yeah, of course. I think you're the
Absolutely.
10th person from the Cobra Kai Karate Kid world to be on the podcast.
Oh,
So,
wow. Wow.
yeah.
I'm in good company then, I take it.
Yeah.
So did that include Ralph and William?
I wish. I wish.
Okay.
Yeah. That'd be awesome someday, maybe. Someday if I get big enough,
Now you
huh?
stick with it, you'll do it.
Yeah. So let's go back to the beginning before any of the movies, before anything. How old were you when you got into martial arts and what got you into it in the first place?
Okay, so when you're an Asian kid growing up in the 60s, you have to know karate. Everyone thinks that you know karate. No, I mean, it is. I mean, that was right about the same time as all those kung fu movies were coming out, and I was about 7, 8 years old watching all those kung fu movies and just jumping around, acting like crazy, professional kung fu fighters. But it wasn't until I was 14 that I started taking Kempo karate classes from it was a Parks and Rec program, just like I teach at now, but it was really the first. I had done stuff before, but this was, sign up and be there at class 2 nights a week. I was 14 when I started that.
And at that point, I mean, did you have any idea that it would end up being your whole life?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think didn't think about stuff like that. It's just kind of stuff that you start. And I did know that I had affinity to it. It was like before I was trained, I knew that I would want to be, in karate, in karate, a martial artist. But then the more and longer I stuck with it, the more it just kind of became something that never ended.
Right.
Uh,
At what age do you feel like you really started to take it seriously, where it was like one of your main focuses?
oh yeah, within a year, because within the first year, start training, sparring and competing, and then that's where it just kind of all took off from there. I became, like a heavy competitor, up through my black belt years. So that's first, until I turned 20, 21 years old. I was doing a lot of competition in karate.
Yeah. Yeah, my knowledge on the types of karate and the different levels that you can reach is limited. My knowledge of karate would probably come from watching Karate Kid and Cobra
That's
Kai.
okay. It's all right. You know what? They bring certainly the mystique to a much larger audience because outside of that audience, it's really people who train, which is I don't know what kind of percentage of the population, but yeah, it's not like the number of people who play basketball or baseball or something like that.
Right. How accurate are most of the movies? Like karate films like The Karate Kid or other kung fu films.
Yeah, none of them, right? Um, I mean, it depends what you're really trying to depict. The hardest thing about martial arts movies is why don't they just get shot? You know, it's like unless we're back in time, in medieval times when they don't have guns, then there's all this reason for you to have to be using martial arts to fight each other. Maybe even, going back as far, not as far, but like, with the Ip Man series, we're talking about the 30s and the 20s and stuff. But, anything modern day, I think the only way that you can really depict any kinds of um, accurate, so to speak. The violent part of martial arts is like a John Wick movie or something like that, where he's using some techniques that come from martial arts in, very violent fashion, and they include all the shooting, that explosions that kind of go with that, making that into a movie. But so I think you have to kind of, if you're going to talk about martial arts movies, we have to kind of have categories of, uh, what's an accurate tournament, and then that's actually not a bad question for the Karate Kid, because there are very accurate parts of the way that they depicted the tournaments, and then there's also parts that would never happen in a tournament.
Yeah. I feel like that's how most movies are though, right? They
Yeah,
hit a few parts accurately and then the rest of it's all Hollywood and
yeah. Hollywood is the definition, and they're going for clicks and whatever movie
Yeah,
tickets, right? Yeah.
right. So how did you end up connected with the film?
So I always say it's a Hollywood story, because I had got my black belt when I was 18. I was still competing, and I knew I was good at karate. I thought I was, had some flashy skills that could be showcased, but I didn't really have any idea how to get into Hollywood. Even though I live in Southern California, I would know people who would go to Hollywood and have an agent and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't know how to do that. So I figured the best way would be for me to just compete in a lot of tournaments, and that's how it happened. Um, the director of Rocky is the same guy that directed the Karate Kid. I don't know if you know that. So after he had done well with Rocky, Karate Kid was his next big deal, and so they went to a karate tournament and scouted for people who could bring some realism to the movie, and I was there. So, serendipity, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So you ended up being Pat Morita's stunt double, correct?
that's yeah one of the things that I did in that
Right. I mean,
movie.
you
Yeah,
also compete at the tournament as a one of the other All Valley former All Valley champs, and
yeah,
you fight in the whole montage and all that. But
that's right.
you worked, I'm assuming, with Pat Morita being a stunt double. You did the whole crane kick scene. Partly was
Yes,
you.
yeah. Basically, when he's on the beach and it's the silhouette, all that is me.
Okay.
But when he's fighting in the skeleton scene, or any of those other fights with the Cobra Kai guys, is not me. Yeah,
Okay. Did they have a
yeah.
different stunt guy doing that
Well,
part, or?
it's pretty well publicized. There's a grandmaster named, he just passed away a couple of years ago, named Fumio Demura, and he not only was he the stunt double for all of Miyagi's fight scenes through Karate Kid 3, but he's also the sensei that kind of Miyagi was fashioned about. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, there's some documentary out there by a guy named Kevin Derrick, who did a thing about Pat Morita, I mean about Fumio Demura, and how he is the real Miyagi, and the connection that they had.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I did not know that. I'll have to try and look that up.
Yeah, Google it.
So the crane kick, do you know where like that idea came from to do
Of
that
course,
whole scene?
of course, I know the whole thing. So it's really funny. It's funny because I recently did a book about myself and the Karate Kid and being a grandmaster and stuff. So a lot of this stuff is recently relived in my mind. So it's like if I tell the story, it's like okay. But yeah, I have a book out there, guys,
What's
called
the
the
book?
Crane. It's called The Crane and the Grandmaster.
Okay.
So it's about those aspects of my life, a little bit more deeper, philosophy and stuff, but it
Right.
talks a lot about what we're talking about right now and how I got into it. So let's talk about the crane. So when I was recruited for the movie, they knew I could do all this acrobatic karate, right, jumping around and stuff. So the writer of the script, his name is Robert Mark Kamen, and he's also the guy who did Taken, the Taken series of movies. and he's got some other ones who you've heard of as well. Very, very successful. So after they recruited me and I started showing up at the sound studios for rehearsals and meet all the Cobra Kai guys and stuff, then they came to me and said, "Hey, look, we want you to do another part of this movie." And the Robert came and told me about, well, yeah, there we have this thing called the crane kick, where you stand on one leg with your arms out to the side, and then you jump and kick and then land on the same leg. So I was kind of skeptical because there is a way to do a kick like that. It's called double jump kick, and we do it all the time. But the way he was describing it was a bit different. So after I kind of worked with it for a while, I told him, "Hey, look, let's do it this way," and I showed him how we could stand like this and lift up a knee and kick. Everybody's done it, right? So
Yeah.
I bet you could do it.
Yeah, not right now.
Yeah. So then they go, okay, well that's gonna have to work. And they were pretty satisfied with the jump and kick. And they said, now you have to do something with your hands. So I said, okay, this is a Wing Chun guard. So I used the Wing Chun guard and got down low. When you get down low with your heel off the ground on the front leg, that's called a cat stance. So go into a cat stance, go up high into the crane stance with the knee up, jump, kick, and land and to do it. So that's how it happened, and they liked it, and we filmed it like 25 times on the beach there, over and over and over. While the sun was coming down in the afternoon, and never would have known that that would be the scene that. I mean, everybody. I always say I'm the most famous person that nobody knows.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of the most recognizable things from the movie. I mean, like you
Well,
said, everyone's tried it. We've all
even from
tried to
the
do it.
even from the decade, because everybody knows it. Yeah. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty funny.
I'd have to go stretch before I try it right now, you know?
Yeah. You and me both.
Yeah. Did you have any idea when you were doing the movie that it would blow up to be this
Oh,
just huge franchise?
no, no, no. I thought it was a stupid name. And like everything else that comes out of Hollywood, I just figured it was probably going to be another, you know, loser. But I will say this. Um, when when we did the tournament scenes, they actually held a couple of real tournaments so that all the people would kind of know what it's like. And they did a good job of kind of recreating the tournament, the whole scenario. And then I watched it while we were filming, and it was like terrible. It was like, oh my God, these kids, because they're not actors, they're not stuntmen, they're not karate fighters. They taught these guys karate in 6 weeks and then made them film karate. So then I'm like, I'm a black belt. I'm looking at these guys. But once you get it up on the big screen and they edit it and close up and put music to it, it looked great. All Hollywood. I loved it. I think everybody did.
Other than all the actors like that you're mentioning, the main actors we see, did they have other karate, guys like you that were just karate people as,
Yes.
other extras around the set?
Yes. In those tournament scenes, actually, there's a ton of real karate competitors. But another important note is, the referees in the red shirts. A
Yeah.
lot of those guys are legendary guys from a generation older than me. So it's like if we watched it together, I would say, look, that's Dave Torres and that's Dan Ivan. And you probably don't know these names, but you could Google them all, and they're all famous, martial artists from the day, back in the day,
Yeah,
70s. Yeah,
that's cool.
it
Did
is pretty
you
wild.
did you follow the franchise as they made more movies? Did you watch the other ones when they came
Um,
out? And
yeah, I mean, how could you not, right? Karate Kid 1, and Karate Kid 2, I would just want to watch and see if they talk about me. But, they actually used the crane kick in one of the very first scenes of the movie. So it's like, hey. And then Karate Kid 3 was just crazy, with Mike Barnes. The funny thing about it is he's so over the top, but Sean Cannon's really good friend of mine. So when I want to tease him, I'll do lines from Karate Kid 3.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely out of the three movies, the worst one.
Well, I wouldn't call it the worst, but there's the characters are definitely
Yeah,
over the top. Yeah.
yeah, maybe that's not worst isn't the right word. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to have Sean hear us talk about this.
No, no. I mean, it's a great series. Like all of the movies, there's a lot of series out there that one of the movies will really fall off. They'll make another,
Yeah.
and it's just horrible. And it didn't, and it's com obviously held up over time because
The time it's held up, and you asked me about if I thought I actually got to meet with the director John Albinson 20 years after it came out because I had a shirt and a script that I wanted him to sign for me, and just to say hello. And I asked him that question. I said, "Did you ever think that this would become the movie?" Of, and remember, he won an Oscar for Rocky, so. He
yeah,
said, never in 1,000 years did he think that this movie would be, the big franchise that it became.
yeah, one of the classic 80s movies. If you ask somebody to name 10 of the biggest movies in the 80s, most people are going to include it in their 10.
I would think so. Yeah. I mean, they keep showing it. So,
Yeah. And then it spawned off the whole Cobra Kai universe, another generation,
yes,
which you had a part in. Did they
yes.
call you back and ask you to join, or how did that work out?
Yeah. Well, it's again, I talk about in the book because it was kind of a long, drawn out thing because, I was a very minor character, obviously, in a movie 40 years ago. So my expectations are low, right? But, uh, early before even season one came out, there was rumor that they were going to do a Karate Kid, series, and I got an email, and they had to get a release from me because they're going to use scenes from Karate Kid One, specifically about Vidal. They were actually going to do that. So I go, oh wow, look at this. They're going to do this, and they're contacting me. So I send them an email back with the releases, and I said, hey, by the way, I look like Pat Morita now. And then I showed him, I sent him a video of me sparring, knocking somebody in it, kicking somebody in the head. And I said, I still train. So if you need me, so I knew they know me, they don't know I'm out here. But didn't hear from them after that. They got my stuff. So, season one goes by. It's fantastic. Season two comes up. I don't know if you've seen them all.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
every
so
episode.
season two, they talk about me, right?
Right? Yep.
When
Kreese is
Tommy's in.
talking to Robbie and he's
Well,
telling
that's
him about
season three. That's season
that's three.
three.
Okay.
Yeah, season two, when Tommy's on the deathbed, they're talking about Vidal.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Johnny mentions it. And then so I go, oh, look, they talked about me. They must be getting have me coming back. And then in season three again, Kreese is talking to what's his name? And
Robbie Keane
then
there, yeah.
yep, then season four goes by, nothing. Season five goes by, no call. But at the same time, I'm good friends with Sean Kanan and Ron Thomas, who's Bobby Brown. And so when they got called back for season two, and then Mike Barnes for season, I think 4 or 5, I'm hearing about all this. It's like, uh, let them know I'm out here. And then season 5 rolls around. It's like, yeah, nothing. And then season 6, we hear that they start filming, and it's like, wow. I mean, they'd have to contact me, but then the strike hit, right? So they went on strike. Everything stopped. I didn't know what was going on, and then see 2024 last year, February they call. Actually, Sean's wife is kind of like my manager, so she calls me and says, "Hey, they want to have you come back." I was like, yeah. So yeah, so you saw it last 3 episodes. It all came back. Too bad
Yep.
I didn't get in the fight or something.
Yeah, right. Right. When they at the call, we were like, I've been training, I'm ready.
Yeah, and then I got to break up Johnny and Sensei Wolf.
Yeah. Yeah. So how was your experience on the Cobra Kai? Once you got back on
Uh,
there.
you know, if remember, I'm not an actor. I'm a regular guy. I teach karate
Yeah.
2 nights a week. So the whole Hollywood thing is like, I love it, but I don't have any, I don't expect to become, famous in a movie, blah, blah, blah. So basically, do the Karate Kid. 40 years later, get called back to do Cobra Kai. So I'm totally out of my element, but I know what to do, right? I know that I got to be there, all that stuff. So I show up, and it's amazing because how old are you?
24.
Okay, so you're a kid, man. You're younger than my kids. So I have a hard time imagining how you connect to Karate Kid 1 because it's like,
My parents.
yeah, I guess so. Um, so going back to Cobra and going into Cobra Kai, it's like, okay, there's William and Ralph, who I would bump into every now and then. So we, happy to see each other. Hey, old guy, old buddies. Not that we were that close, but we did have a fairly good relationship coming out of those movies. But the thing that amazed me was that one, the writer from one of the episodes, and the three creators are huge Karate Kid fans, so they know everything about all the movies and obviously their scripts. So when I show up, it's like Vidal's here. I'm like, hey guys, how are you? And they were like, you're the dude. You're the guy. You did the Karate Kid. Blah blah blah. So that was fun and really exciting because you're immediately right there with the guys. Not feeling like anxious or nervous at all. It's like we're all friends. Then start to meet, Mary and Tanner and the young kids, and they know who I am too. So that blew my mind. I already know who you are. You did the Great Cake. Like, thanks, guys. So got along well with everybody. Everyone on the cast is amazingly friendly. So I have not really heard anybody, talk crap on any of the main characters. They're all great kids, young people, polite, friendly. So yeah, great experience.
Yeah, that's everything I've heard from everyone that I've talked to that's had a role on the show. And I've talked to people, some people who were just in a couple episodes at like the Sekai Taikai,
Hmm.
and then some people who were on multiple seasons as dojo members, kind of in the
Okay.
background. They were always
Yeah.
there. And they've all said the same thing, that the cast was all awesome, super
Yeah.
friendly, and even a few of them, they were like maybe in the early seasons and then they were brought back. And they said even though they were missing for 3 years, when they came back, it was just like, "Hey, welcome back. How's it going?" Everyone was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. So same for me, 40 years later.
How often do you get asked to do podcasts and speak on all this stuff?
Oh, probably once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
it's
think that
fairly
also
common.
it speaks to the success of the movie. You mean you talked about you played a minor character 40 years ago, but it's
Yeah.
such a huge popular movie that people know you. They know you.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
movies, small characters, if the movie didn't hit, people would be, who is that? But since the movie had such success and popularity, there's so many fans that have dove in so deep into it. They know every character that's had three
Oh
seconds
yeah.
of screen time
Yeah.
to the whole movie. I mean, everything in
It,
between.
it's amazing. And I'm always flabbergasted, excited, happy to meet these people. And because they'll tell me something like, you're the reason I started karate or something like that. It's like, really? It's amazing.
Yeah, it's
But
pretty
it
cool.
is, I have people, it just happened the other day. I'm playing golf with this guy and he's he's like, I was gonna say your age, but I think he's about 36. But he said, "Oh, I grew up watching you, man. I can't believe I'm, playing golf with you." I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
too bad I'm not very good at golf.
I was just gonna ask, how's your golf game?
I shot a 98, but it's a real
Hey,
score.
under 100. That's
Yeah, it's a real score. Yeah, it
yeah,
was a tough course. So yeah, I could shoot low 90s if on a good day, but
hard game. Very
it's
hard game.
the most difficult thing. It's funny that we talk about that because I didn't learn to play golf till I was about 30, about 30 years ago. Because I said, when I get older, everything, all the business is done on the golf course. So I got to learn to play golf. And so when I got turned 30, my wife bought me a set of clubs. I started playing golf, kind of got hooked into it. Uh, but once you start swinging the golf club, I realized that no matter what I thought about how good I was in karate, none of that translates to golf. I mean, there's no natural ability. I think it's all about hand-eye coordination, and I don't have it at that level to where you'll meet a golfer who'll start and they'll shoot in the 80s or something like that. It's like, okay, these people are just freaks. I don't want to play with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Golf is it's so hard. I've seen, videos of, professional athletes from all kinds of different sports who've never played golf and they give it a try and it's like, wow, like I thought I was athletic and I can't do this. And I think that speaks to the game, right? It's not
Yes, it does.
don't beat yourself up if you just play on the weekends and you have a bad shot because it's very hard.
Yeah,
Professional athletes struggle with everyone, it's
yeah. That's why I always have such a good odd attitude about golf is because I know I'm not any good. And so I don't expect to be good. And so I can have a great time out, I'm not at work,
Yep,
hitting the ball, it's outside, so
exactly.
I have a great attitude about it.
Definitely. Well, you've also done a lot of, martial arts has been your life, not just competing in movies, but also teaching. When did you
Yes.
start getting into the teaching side of things?
Well, at our studio, my instructor, who I'm still affiliated with, Joe Rosas, uh, once you become a brown belt, you start being an assistant instructor. And then once I got my black belt, teaching with him regularly, a couple of times where he was on night shift or something, and I taught his class. And then I got married and moved to the city I live in now, Murrieta, California. And it was just a brand new city. And so we were the first uh, recreation class instructors. I taught karate, and she taught dance. She's a dance teacher. And that's where I came over here, and I've been teaching here for 35 years. And yeah, just like you don't think about it, but if you don't stop, then you end up old and the 10th degree black belt.
Yeah. What's the highest degree?
10th.
10th. So you're as high as
Yeah.
you can go.
Yeah, I'm done moving. Actually, that happened like 2012. So yeah, I've been basically static for that long. But we have an
Wow.
association that includes our founder and all our senior black belts, and I'm the president of the association. So yeah, I'm also the ranking belt. So we're still very active in the things we do, but I'm not looking. I don't move up anymore.
Right. Right. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So this, I don't know if this is an easy question to answer. What did you enjoy more, competing or teaching?
Well, competing is fun when you're young and live and fast. Once you start to get older, then it's like they say, those who can do, those who can't teach. And that's what it's become. But um, I mean, what is more, um, what makes you feel the best? I mean, nothing like kicking somebody's ass, or not, that's what it was to me. It really was about dominating in the sparring ring. Kata is one thing, but you're just kind of showing off. Sparring is where it's at, but it's also rules. It's not like we roll on the ground or throw each other out of the ring, stuff like that. So it's controlled sparring, but it's a good feeling to dominate in that, and it's good to get your ass kicked too. So I like those parts of it. But in teaching, we still do the same thing. I still spar with my students every Tuesday night. Okay. It's not jumping, flashing. I'm not doing flying backspins or anything, but I'm still punching people and they're punching me. And so I love that part of it, of the physical yet psychological, philosophical, psychological aspect of what we are doing in martial arts, which is, learning about our bodies and, helping organize our life, if you will.
Yeah. How long do you think you'll keep teaching?
I've thinking about it a lot these days because um, trying to figure out when I'm going to retire from work. I still work a full-time job. Teach. I also teach stick fighting. Also write books. So I've got all these things that I'm trying to do in my mind, and I don't see how I can stop actually, except for my body completely gives out. So at least a couple more years. Maybe 4 or 5 more years.
Yeah. You still love it that much where you just want to keep doing it and
Yeah, I just can't see handing it over. I mean, I have a great
yeah.
senior student, and he's there and he will be ready and he is ready to take over if I decide to retire. Um, he's my son's age. They got their black belts together, but my son doesn't live close enough to take over the class, and so yeah, it's something that it has to kind of synchronize with work with my wife. When she decides to hang it up, and then I'll do it. So
Yeah.
tough decision.
Oh yeah, for sure. Especially when it's something you've done for your whole life.
Yeah, I mean, I've had my share of fat maladies. Like a year ago, I had my right hip replaced, so I have a steel hip. I had total shoulder reconstruction. That was like 15 years ago. Uh, and then a couple of snowboarding accidents and things like that. It starts to take toll.
Yeah.
You don't move around as like you used to. So. Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
catch up with you. Yeah,
Right. Right. I hope I've got a few more years before I'm already starting. I know I'm not old, but
you're not
I
old.
when I go and play basketball with somebody, I'm like, whew, I'm a little I get worn out quicker, you're sore
Yeah,
for longer and
exactly.
um
Yep, exactly. So triple your pain.
yeah. So as we end the episode, you've done a lot of things in your life. What would be a piece of advice that you would pass on to just younger people about life?
That's a good question. I mean, I have a few things, a saying. One of the things that I hold to is, because especially from teaching karate, is by demanding excellence, we help others achieve excellence. So in the martial arts and in the life, sometimes people need encouragement. And if you can be that person, then you can make that person a better person. So that's one of the main things. The other thing is community. I mentioned that my instructor and myself and my wife, we all teach through the Parks and Rec because one, it's convenient and cheap, but it makes it affordable to our students. It's easier for us, obviously. I don't have to maintain and make a profit off of maintaining a facility, which is like it's the best case. I can teach karate and I don't have to really run a business per se. So, yeah, if I was running a studio, I don't know if I would be profitable at it because, I try to make discounts for multiple family members and, I don't charge for testing or all this stuff, that they make money off of. And it's like, so just being part of the community, being remembered. He's the guy. He's been teaching karate here for 35 years. He'll be at class next week. I'm reliable.
I think that's cool though. Like there's a lot of hobbies out there, right? Or different sports that people want to get into and some people can't because of cost. There's a lot of
Oh,
expensive
absolutely.
sports out there. So I think it's awesome that you're putting that first instead of trying to run a business and charge people for all kinds of crazy
Right. And
things. And
there's another aspect to that is it's one of the few sports you can play as a family. Yes, you can have five people and make a basketball team, but if you can all go to the same karate class and train, the parents can train with the other adults and the kids train with the other kids, and that's the way my class works. And you can bowl together. There's just not a lot of other things you can do that as a complete family. So I try to encourage that as much as I can. After the third person, the rest of your family is free. That's how I offer it. I have a family with nine kids. Luckily,
There's a bargain.
luckily the ones that stuck with me are black belts, and now they help me teach. So
Yeah.
I get
How
a
many
I get,
families do you have working with, under your school or your teaching, I mean?
oh I mean there three or four, but yeah,
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 that's cool. It
yeah.
is true though. You can't go play tackle football as a fan. Well, I guess you could, but it probably yeah,
There's a timeline.
right.
It won't last that long.
Right. Yeah, there's not a lot of sports that you can play late into life. Your body just can't
Right,
take it.
golf is one of them.
Yeah, golf, bowling, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Competitive darts. I don't know.
there you go.
And karate. Yeah,
Yes,
awesome. Well, Daryl, I appreciate you coming on and
yeah,
sharing
it's
some
fun.
insight into the Karate Kid world and martial arts and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure.
Hope your listeners enjoyed it. And if you want to communicate with me, if you don't mind me plugging a couple things,
Yeah.
yeah, if you want to message me on Facebook, my outside facing Facebook is Vidal Kempo, Vidal Kempo on Facebook. And I'm usually pretty accessible as long as you don't try to sell me stuff. Uh, and then uh, and then I have a couple of books out actually. I have The Crane and the Grandmaster, which is kind of my memoir about what we talked about. But I also have a sci-fi novel I just published. It's called Mindcraft. Not Minecraft, Mindcraft. And it's about how AI takes over schools and brainwashes kids and stuff.
Cool.
So I invite you to look it up on Amazon and read that book. It's a great book. I'm trying to get a movie deal out of it because I think it's that good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, there you go, everybody. Check out Daryl's stuff, and we appreciate you coming on.
Okay.
Thanks for listening. Please stay tuned for more episodes soon.